So we got crazy new info that was just added, giving us huge hints on why Sargeras stabbed Silithus and Azeroth, for the first time ever confirming that there was a reason Silithus was stabbed in particular out of all the places in the world. We got essentially a confirmation that the Titans are in fact evil and might not even be that different than Sargeras, and that everything we know about Sargeras could be false as well. Even more interesting, we learn of a weapon that was bestowed upon Xal'atath in the ancient past to fulfill a purpose, hinting that the Void Lords might have had their influence on Azeroth more directly in the ancient past, and that Xal'atath might have been Plan B as the old gods had failed in their mission. All this is based on a new Easter egg dialogue that was just added a little while ago that is happening right next to the Sword of Sargeras. So what is all this new info? While playing WoW on PC is great, you can also check in on your characters directly from your phone. With this video sponsor, Awesome, you can control your PC with your phone completely free, as it is available for Windows, iOS, and Android. Check out my link in the description, download the PC version and the phone app, and just connect it. The free version itself is amazing, as you can control your desktop, transfer files, but the real deal is the game version. It has custom keyboards for various games other than just WoW, and you can enjoy AFK gaming at any time, anywhere with game sound. Make sure to use my code Doron to get 7 days completely free, only for the first 200 people. They also got a smart lock to turn off your PC at any time, as well as hot sales with up to 40% off on pro game versions. Check out Awesome. So we actually got some new information, not just speculations and what could be happening, but there is a whole bunch of new dialogue that at first glance is like a simple Easter egg, but it is actually massive foreshadowing for the Sword, Old Gods, Void, and what Sargeras was really planning. Now, to really quickly bring you up to speed, there's this Void Twilight type orc called the Twilight Hermit that is a bit of a crazy guy, and he's located in Silithus, and he was actually added back in BFA, so he has been in the game for quite a while. His main purpose at the time was that we brought the item called Wriggling Mask that we found on the island expeditions. We brought it to him, he had some dialogue, and for the longest time this was one of the main speculations and information we had for Xal'atath, as he mentioned a goat and a pool. Previously, we also had an item called the Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron that talked about a many-eyed goat laying in a pool of black water. Due to Xal'atath's design, he was referred to as a black goat with 7 eyes due to many eyes and goat-like horns, despite his Hearthstone design being a little bit different, but as you may know, that is not exactly canon. Now, where this orc comes to relevance is that when you bring the Wriggling Mask, he says that he saw the same visions we did: the goat, the pool, drowning in the icy black darkness, and how the end of the world is coming soon. However, he says the most important thing, and that he had these whispers that essentially drove him mad, that stopped when Sargeras stabbed Azeroth. And keep in mind, all this stuff is actually from BFA. Now, when you combine this with the new dialogue that was just added, it all starts making sense, and it is huge foreshadowing for the entirety of the World Soul Saga. So let me bring you up to speed on what is the new information. So back in the November trading post, we got this item called Arsenal Cosmic Weapons Cache, and you got 5 really iconic weapons. 2 weapons are themed after the Sword of Sargeras and obviously Dark Titan themed. We got 2 weapons based on the Titans and the Titan Pantheon, and we got 1 themed after Xal'atath. And someone realized that these new items actually prompted really interesting dialogue from this Twilight Doomsayer guy right next to the Sword of Sargeras and Silithus that we previously thought was just a crazy guy, but now he might actually have some information. There might be something to this end of the world that he has been going on about. So, first off, when you arrive with the Sargeras transmog, he says that you should not have brought that here. How he warned us in the past that the end of the world is coming and that this sword is proof, and that the energy in our sword is the exact same that coursed through the massive sword stuck in Silithus. However, after this, we essentially have a huge confirmation that Sargeras chose Silithus by chance. His crusade sought to eradicate all life, and that the final act before being captured by the Pantheon was chosen with great precision, and and obviously for a reason we are yet to learn. Now, I want to say a few things in regards to this, and this is that you might say like this is just an opinion of some random crazy orc that doesn't even know what he's talking about. Obviously the guy is unreliable. It's not like Sargeras told us this, but let's be real, something is definitely happening with the sword. I mean, they literally wore the sword shirts on BlizzCon. The main cinematic is right next to the sword. The entire 3 expansions are called the World Soul Saga. We're getting whispers near it. I mean, they literally just added this new dialogue after the announcement. So it's pretty safe to say that Sargeras' stabbing wasn't him just randomly stabbing Azeroth in whatever place out of pure spite. There was logic behind this, and this confirms it. And we also had in cinematic like it was aimed at someone. However, the other dialogue is, in my opinion, even more interesting, so let's combine it and see how it all makes sense. So, after this, when you come with the 2 Titan swords, the orc says that the blade profanes this place, and how a weapon like that is just inviting destruction. Keep in mind, all of this is happening in Silithus, right next to the sword. This means that the Titan weapons are causing a bit of an opposite effect of swords. As he says, the Titans only care about their order, and that they will sacrifice even their own followers to achieve it. Obviously, this is nothing new. I mean, something they've been foreshadowing since forever, but this is just further confirmation that Titans bad. However, they say something that is even bigger foreshadowing for setting up the Titans as villains. So even though Sargeras was crazy, he still had that Titan order pattern of precision and cold logic where ends kinda justify the means. He kinda twisted that logic, not to order worlds, but to destroy worlds. However, the orc says that the Pantheon is not actually that different than the supposedly crazed Titan. The only different method, but not the goal, and that Sargeras may not be as crazy as we think. Sure, the Pantheon are not the devil, they don't look like the devil, like Sargeras does, but they may be just as evil, if not more. Personally, I don't think this really adds anything new to why the sword is here, but it kinda confirms that Sargeras may not be who we think he is, and that the Pantheon may not be so different than him. There is definitely a lot more to the backstory that we know, the lore where the Titans good, they plant life, and they order the planet, and Sargeras, this bad guy, he wants to destroy everything, he's just one crazy guy, he smash, like destroy. There is definitely more going on. However, guys, we got the most interesting dialogue in regards to Xal'atath, and finally more information on who Xal'atath is that we can work from that isn't just speculation. So when you come with the Void song, the Stave of the Harbinger, the orc, as a Void crazed follower, says he immediately hears the whispers. He gives us more information on what the staff is and almost spills the beans on Xal'atath's master plan, which is obviously yet another bit of foreshadowing. The orc says that this weapon is ancient, dating back to the primordial times where the whole of Azeroth was ruled by the Black Empire, much like the one we saw in that vision at the start of the Dragon fight where we heard N'Zoth's new whispers. Now here, he makes it super vague like all the old god lore. Apparently, masters bestowed gifts upon the faithful, their servants, and that the Harbinger in the ancient past got this gift in order to, one day, she can, and then he is stopped by this presence and the whispers from it, not letting us hear the actual plan. Now, I've talked about this a million times, but let me just state that they made this Masters world purposefully vague because it kind of reads like the old gods bestow the weapons because we're talking about the Black Empire, but it could also be the Void Lords. If you followed my other Xal'atath videos, you might remember the sort of hidden Blizzard interview where they confirmed that Xal'atath is not an old god, is very likely older than the old gods, she doesn't like them, and has a different plan as opposed to the old gods. If this really is the case, this means that the Masters were the Void Lords, and if these are Void Lords, it means they had a more hands-on approach on Azeroth when the Black Empire was around, which obviously changes the lore quite a bit. It has some huge implications. If the Void Lords gave this staff to Xal'atath to one day do something, it might mean that the old gods were not sufficient, and remember, previously, in an interview, Blizzard hinted that the old gods might have rebelled, so Xal'atath might have been their plan B, a bit more of a mobile secret services type approach to corrupting Azeroth instead of the old gods that was like a brute force Black Empire plan. Now, when it comes to why Sargeras actually stabbed Azeroth with the sword, what can we extract from these quotes? Well, most importantly, this was calculated. He knew the exact spot he wanted to stab. I made a few predictions in the past that I do think still make sense. One is that he might have aimed at Xal'atath, which is like the entrance to the World Soul, which is pretty much next door to Silithus, and he hit Silithus instead, which could be possible. I mean, you can't have laser precision with a sword that big. The other is that as we recently had some hints that Xal'atath has been gathering the old gods to complete the awakening, she got everyone apart from Khatoon, so she has 3 old gods in her hand. Sargeras might have known about this plan in advance, and he might have aimed at Khatoon in order to stop this from happening. Now, previously, I thought this was like the least likely scenario because Khatoon is not that important, but remember what the orc said. He stopped getting the whispers when the sword was plunged into Silithus, meaning he might have actually ended Khatoon and kinda ruined or delayed Xal'atath's plan. Now, another super likely theory is that the entire Azeroth is a prison. You might have heard about this theory. I got a whole video in great detail if you want to learn what is going on, because it is a super intriguing theory. But few things are obvious. I mean, we got the last Titan logo, the elemental prism from Dragonflight. This fits perfectly, it looks exactly the same. One of the theories going around in the community is that these rings have been destroyed over time and that Sargeras aimed at one of them. This makes sense for multiple reasons. First is that since he stabbed Azeroth, we got a whole bunch of weird actions, like awakening actions, that gradually started happening, from the Azerite to the Dragon Isles coming to now the recent whispers everyone is hearing across Azeroth. Furthermore, these might be the whispers the orc has been talking about, although not sure why they would stop. Maybe they were really void whispers that Sargeras had put an end to. However, this at the moment is the most likely theory, albeit keep in mind it is based on a lot of speculation, so if one part is not true, the entire thing might crumble, but it would actually make a lot of sense. I mean, it fits the entire Titans are bad, they created a prison, and it fits the plan for Sargeras as well, as this prison is what might have held the entire life balance in the universe. So Sargeras would still be evil. He didn't do this out of the kindness of his heart. He didn't want to save Azeroth and free her because he was against the prison. He wanted to destroy the planet, and this prison must have been created for a purpose. However, even more importantly, the Titans are also not the good guys. I mean, they must have built the prison for some reason, and that is what the orc meant with the saying they're just as bad. They just use different methods. They might not split planets in two with a giant sword, but instead they built fail-safe mechanisms that can explode the entire planet, and massive prisons, and they also brainwash everyone. Thank you for watching. Check out the restoration of Undercity and Lord Around Midnight by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time!